Hello everyone, this is Mando doing a quick video here covering Jango Fett under a Maul led team. Had a supporter here ask me a question about how to mod them, and with any modding situation we need to look at the general team dynamics. He said he was using full dark side, which makes sense. So let's look at the leader thing here real quick. Unfortunately, Maul doesn't have a large kit that will directly interact with Jango, but he does have a little bit here. I'm still working on getting him unlocked, but he is planning to be one of my teams. Mandalorian allies have a plus 5% max health for each Mandalorian ally at the start of the battle and plus 25% offense. And then we're going to look down here. While there are 2 Mandalore buffs on allied characters, all Mandalorian allies deal 50% more damage during their turn. Obviously, that's going to be more up to getting those buffs onto Maul, but that's just something to note. Something a little more important is the Mandalore buff. Mandalorian allies assist dealing 50% less damage when this character uses an ability during their turn. So, I mean, there's more stuff here, but that's the only real important thing. And so let's jump over here to Imperial Super Commander real quick, and we'll see why the attack out of turn on this team is going to matter more. If all allies were dark-sided Mandalorians or Empire at the start of the battle, whenever a dark-sided Mandalorian ally attacks out of turn, they deal additional true damage and recover 10% protection. So the main mechanic in this team that I'm seeing is that attacks out of turn. It's going to get you more damage, it's going to keep your team surviving longer with the protection recovery, and you get offense boost and max health boost from Maul. There was one other thing here. Obviously, now this here only works if you can get them to attack the enemy when it's the enemy's turn, but Garth Saxon does have a 100% chance to assist under that situation, like if someone had retribution, essentially something like that. And then the other thing we want to take a look at real quick is over here under I like a challenge. Whenever an enemy is damaged by an attack, Canvas gains 8% turn meter. So as you're getting assists called and you're able to do those things, you're also powering up Canvas on your team to be able to take more turns. So it's kind of feed into that. So let's get back over to Jango. Let's look real quick at his kit. What's going to be, see what else we can need to focus on. Deal physical damage to target enemy, gain 15% offense for each enemy suffering a debuff, so that can be significant. If the target enemy was suffering a debuff, Jango Fett attacks again, so basically doubling his attack power even without an offense boost. Deal physical damage to target enemy and to a random enemy. Inflict healing immunity and stagger to target enemy. Healing immunity is very important, and stagger definitely can help get you an edge. This here is the AoE, and inflict burning for 3 turns, then deal physical damage to all enemies. conflagration on target character, they lose 25% health stacking if they were suffering a debuff. And then the only other thing that will be affecting him is his unique, where he gets a plus 100% defense, plus 50% max health. Enemies defeated on his turn can't be revived. And obviously he gets Bounty Hunter Resolve. And if he does regain Bounty Hunter Resolve, or he recovers 100% protection and gains Bounty Hunter Resolve when he defeats an enemy, which kind of gives him a second life. So, with all that being said, as you can see, he's going to get boosts in his max health. So one of the things you want to be focusing on is getting his health up. But under the unique over here, under Imperial Super Commander, the upper hand one, you will see that he recovers 10% protection when he attacks out of turn. So having a decent amount of protection definitely is not a bad thing. Go back over here. So you want to have a decent amount of protection. You want to build up his health. At the same time, he's an attacker. We got to keep that in mind. And if we don't get the perfect mods for health and protection secondaries, defense is a good one too, since he's going to give himself plus 100% defense through his unique. So that covers the survivability part. On his attacker side, in this day and age where there's a lot of crit damage, immunity, and stuff like that, I feel like offense has taken a more advantageous role. With that being said, you could do a crit damage layout, and if you have a high enough crit chance, that would deal pretty good damage too. And the other thing that's going to be important with him as an attacker is speed. And you want to have some potency on him, because if you can help get those debuffs out there with him, then that's going to help with increasing an offense and getting that healing immunity and that stuff out there. So I know that's a lot. So let's look at the mods. Now, with that being said, mine is modded to be set up for going under Admiral Trench, but we'll start with the arrow here. Speed arrow, and I personally would still recommend a speed arrow on him under a Maul lead. You can't really beat speed, especially when it comes to an attacker. Obviously the square primary is always going to be offense. Diamond is always going to be defense. And then from here, it kind of depends on what mods you have available. I would personally recommend going with the health mod down here on the circle, because you're going to get max health boost from Maul and his unique. If you wanted to do a protection, you can do a protection over here on his cross. Another option here is like what I have. You go potency to really get those debuffs up. That'd be another one. Or if you don't have either one of those good ones, you can try to find a cross in defense primary or a health primary for backup. For the triangle, I recommend offense personally. You could do a crit damage if your crit chance is up high enough, but offense is definitely a good way to go. Now for secondaries, you want to be looking for to have on each one you want to be looking for speed for your secondaries. If you don't have a potency cross, try to get potency secondaries and then some form of combination of offense, health, protection, or defense in there for the other ones. I think speed's the most important, followed by health and offense, and potency is barely under that. I put that under those two, and then protection, defense below that. The reason why defense down with protection, because we already have a defense boost under one of the primaries. That is going to help you boost them up that way. And let's just take a look real quick at, let's go over here so you can see the so my critical chance is sitting at 101.87%. I do have a crit chance set on him, but it's not necessary. So on the sets, I would recommend like crit damage set, offense set, and then going either health or defense or a potency set, depending on if you got good ones. Either one, any of those three will work great with Jango and help relieve some of the burden that you will be needing to look for certain stats in your secondaries on the mods. Like for example, you go with the potency set. You don't necessarily have to have as many potency secondaries because you're kind of making up for it in the set. Same thing for defense, and same thing for health. You could get a mod that has like speed and 2 offense and like protection, but if you have a health set, then you're not really worried about it that much because you're already getting that boost through the set. So trying to keep it flexible, my recommendation here, so that depending on your mod situation, how much resource you have available, you're able to kind of customize it to what you need. Obviously, since he's an attacker, I would, just to cap, recommend getting his offense and speed up as high as you can get it. Next thing would be focusing on his survivability, because just like his character in Star Wars, he is a pretty tanky attacker, so you definitely want to get his health and defense up to help facilitate keeping him around and doing that heavy damage that he does. Below that would be his potency and the protection. His potency is important, especially for helping him in certain things and getting certain extra, but it doesn't really trump him being able to dish out that damage even under his basic, where he's like double tapping the enemy and dealing out large amounts of damage. So I hope that is helpful. Hopefully that gets you on your way to modding him correctly. And just as a quick thing here, we can look at the bonuses real quick. If you went with health set, 10% health, defense set gets you a 25% boost, crit damage is 30%. I won't really recommend a crit chance, and I'm probably going to actually remod the crit chance, put something different in there. Offense is 15%, potency is 15%, and since you're going for offense and crit damage, you can't really do speed in there. The reason why I'm not recommending speed is because I feel like as an attacker he needs to be focused on offense, and only having an offense square and an offense set is not it's going to help you some, but not as much as what you're wanting. And just looking at what I have, I managed to get him up to 8,600 damage for his offense. He can be higher. I'm running almost 200 crit damage with over 100% critical chance. So you got to kind of factor all that in there when you're estimating if you're getting the most out of his attacks or not. And if you look over here at his relics, you'll notice that you'll be getting a health through the relics, so that'll help keep him alive. You'll also be getting some crit damage improvement. And if you look down here, you'll also be getting a lot of crit chance. Some armor, which will help with his defense. And obviously some offensive damage. So you definitely want to get his relics up because they all synchronize really well with his kit. We're trying to keep this a little shorter, but was trying to cover everything in the kits, the mods, and in the team. So hopefully this gives you a better understanding of what you need to try to go after. And please like and subscribe. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. And hope you're enjoying the videos. This is the way.